Good morning. Now, it's only 6 a.m. for me. I'm here in Pennsylvania. It's my last morning here, and I got up extra early at 5 today. What time have you been getting up? Let me know in the comments below. I'm doing the Miracle Morning Challenge, or the Morning Miracle Challenge, as I named it, because I was nervous about copyrights or something. I don't know. But it's a 30-day challenge we've been doing, and I wanted to come to you with this idea that I got during my reading this morning. I was reading, if you want to turn there, I was reading Isaiah 58, and it's about fasting. And I want to read it to you. I have my King James Bible, so I hope you can handle that. I hope you can handle a little King James this morning. And maybe you have a translation that's easier for you. But I love King James. I love getting into it sometimes. And I wanted to show you how I think this 30-day challenge, you can consider a fast, and how that will actually help you be more successful at it. And of course, our goal is to make these long-term habits. But in the meantime, while you're getting through the different phases of this challenge, I think shifting your mindset in this way, really considering it a fast, is going to help you have the right approach and help you stick with it. So why don't you turn with me to Isaiah 58? And I said I have the KJV. I hope that doesn't bug you. I think it's really clear. Otherwise, I would have picked something else. So we're talking about fasting, and we're talking about how we can approach what we're doing, and how our approach changes the outcome, okay? So you can do the same thing, but you could do it the wrong way. You could do it in a fleshly way, or you can do it God's way. So let's read. So I'm in Isaiah 58. And the title here is The Sins of the House of Jacob. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. So that's cool. Let's stop there for a second, because we are seeking Him daily. The goal here is to take delight in our Lord, to come to Him each morning with the prayer, with the really digging into His Word and affirming it to ourselves, visualizing what our dreams, the things that God has put into our hearts and minds to come to pass. And of course, reading His Word, right? So exercising our bodies, which He gave us, the temple of the living God. So this is really something that we want to come to with delight, okay? Now it says, Israel's way of fasting, picking up in verse 3. Wherefore we have fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore we have afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. So what does that mean? To me, that means, like, if you want to be heard by God in the midst of this challenge, if you want what you're doing to have a positive outcome, be careful of the way that you're approaching it. It says here that that Israel was fasting in such a way that they were actually trying or being. It was an attitude that was off. Okay, that's I think I might need another translation to clear that up more. But you can see the attitude is off. They are making it about the wrong things, and they are actually doing it for the sake of, like, being seen about it. You know what I mean? So let's be careful as we approach this challenge. So picking up on verse 5, we find God's way of fasting, okay? And it says, "Is it such a fast that I have chosen? A day from a man to afflict his soul?" Like, does your soul feel afflicted during it? "It is to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?" So what's your attitude like? Are you like solemn? Are you frustrated? Are you feeling strife about getting up on Monday morning and taking this time with God? It's verse 6. "Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover them, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh? Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward." So, notice the change in attitude. The change that happened was that Israel, or these people, realized that it's not really for them, okay? What we're doing is we're thinking about what God is going to do, okay? He talks about having breakthrough, that people would no longer be oppressed, that the hungry would be fed, that the naked would be covered. This is about so much more than you getting up and having your private time with God. It's about God's church rising up, and about God. You have time with the Lord to seek him on these things, so more people can walk in victory, okay? Hi, Becky. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so where did I leave off there? I just want to finish off chapter 58 in Isaiah. That's where we are. So picking up on verse 8, "Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteous shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry, and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of the paths to dwell in. Wow. Wow. Okay, all those things sound so good. And what is the key? The key is this attitude change about how we present ourselves to the Lord on a daily basis through this fast that we are doing, okay? And really what we learn in this entire chapter, and what I've learned from the Bible in the past as well, is God cares a lot more about your attitude than what it is that you're doing for him. Like, He loves kindness more than sacrifice. He loves it more than burnt offerings. He wants to see your attitude to be in the right place. So I just urge you, friends, that as you do this, take a look, come to the Lord with delight, seek Him for the things that He's put on your heart, that you're actually going to serve people, just like Jesus, that He came not to be served, but to serve. Let's read these last two verses here in Isaiah 58. We're picking up from verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. What a beautiful promise. So, if you consider each of these mornings a time of Sabbath, the way I do, because you're spending this prayer time with God, you're reading the Bible, and you're moving your body, then let's definitely think of it like honestly as a time for God. Not a time for us to have self-improvement, but a time for God. It's going to be challenging, but we have Him to help us. And I just want to pick up something from the book, The Miracle Morning, that I think is going to help you. It's not easy, but it's important. I was reading what page was it? I was reading this little section where Hal talks about how he went from unbearable to unstoppable for 30 days. And days 1 through 10 of his life change, where he began to run in marathons, he said the first 10 days of running were both physically painful and mentally challenging. Every single day, I fought a constant battle in my head with the voice of mediocrity, telling me it was okay to quit, but it wasn't. So this is page 108 from Miracle Morning. And he says, do what's right, not what's easy, I reminded myself. I kept running. I was committed. So when you think of it as a fast, remember, you're doing something that isn't easy, and you're doing it on purpose. 1 second. Good morning.
Good morning, sweetheart.
I love you.
I love you.
It's my last morning with my grandma here, and I got up so early thinking I'd be able to do this with you. And thank you for the kiss. There's 2 more things I want to share with you here. So at days 11 through 20, and it says, days 11 through 20 were only slightly less painful. I still didn't like running, but I didn't really hate it anymore. So there's going to come a time when you're not going to hate waking up early. You're not going to hate Mondays anymore. Your view of life is going to change through this challenge. For the first time in my life, I was forming the habit of running every day. It was no longer this scary thing I only watched other people doing on the sidewalk while I was driving in my car. After nearly 2 weeks of daily running, it was starting to feel normal for me to wake up every day and just go for a run. I remained committed. Okay, so remain committed through it, and we're going to get more endurance. And then finally, days 21 through 30. Days 21 through 30 were almost enjoyable. I had almost forgotten what it felt like to hate running. I was doing it without much thought. I just woke up, put on my running shoes, yes, I had invested in a pair, and logged my miles each day. The mental battle was gone, replaced with reciting positive affirmations or listening to self-improvement audios while I ran. In just 30 days, I had overcome my limiting belief that I couldn't run. I was becoming what I would never have imagined in a million years. I was becoming a runner. So as we fast from sleeping in, as we fast from having more time to press the snooze button, as we fast from what we would have otherwise done other than reading the Bible and praying and exercising and really digging into the Word and letting it change our minds, let's run the race with endurance. And I know you've joined this because God has put it on your heart. That means that He wants to do those amazing things that He promised in that passage from Isaiah. Consider it a fast, my friends, and let God help you through. I know He will. This is Laura Gabriel signing off. Never stop learning, growing, and reaching. Bye.